In the headlines, is Washington quietly working to block a Duterte presidency? Some analysts say yes, pointing to what they call a growing push from the U.S. deep state to derail Vice President Sara Duterte's 2028 presidential bid. The reason? A potential shift back towards a China-friendly Philippine foreign policy. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. is set to make a state visit to New Delhi, with the Department of Foreign Affairs confirming key bilateral talks and major business forums and at least 6 major agreements on the agenda. A reward for Hamas, a sharp rebuke from Washington as more nations move to recognize a Palestinian state. The U.S. State Department is pushing back hard against the diplomatic momentum, warning that recognition without security guarantees could empower Hamas and stall peace efforts in the region. In India, a date is set for a high-stakes election. The official schedule for choosing the country's next vice president has been set following the unexpected resignation of Jagdeep Dhankhar, a transition that could reshape New Delhi's future. Extreme weather disrupts parts of South America. A massive sandstorm has swept through southern Peru, with the winds carrying the dust all the way to Chile's coastline. Local officials have issued warnings for strong winds and poor visibility in the region. In Ukraine, a key area taken. Russia claims it has seized a strategic town in Donetsk, a move that could shift momentum on the Eastern Front. Ukrainian forces say they're holding position as heavy clashes intensify. And in entertainment, a personal health reveal from pop star Justin Timberlake. The singer has announced he's been diagnosed with Lyme disease, sparking a wave of support from fans and advocacy groups, raising awareness about the tick-borne illness. I'm Sarah Santos. Newsline World starts now. First in the news, is the U.S. deep state out to block Vice President Sara Duterte's path to the presidency in 2028? Analysts say Washington fears a return to her father's foreign policy, closer to China and farther from the U.S. MJ Mondehar for this report.
As tensions among superpowers escalate, several analysts believe that there is a force working to stop Vice President Sara Duterte's 2028 presidential bid. They point to the U.S. deep state, allegedly fearful that VP Sara would revive her father's policies favoring China and distancing from the United States. According to veteran columnist Rigoberto Bobby Tiglao, the United States is using its media machinery in the Philippines to influence politics. This includes newspapers and online platforms allegedly being used to discredit the vice president. Tiglao, who previously served as Philippine ambassador to Greece and Cyprus, says that the root of it is America's fear that the Philippines will again cut ties with Washington, just as it did during the term of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Geopolitical expert Professor Alan Malindug-Uy agrees. According to her, the U.S. deep state does not want to lose its control over the Philippines, and that could happen if VP Sara becomes the head of state.
Ang pinakamalaking hamon at magiging block niya talaga is the Americans or the United States, and specifically yung deep state, which ang deep state basically is the military-industrial complex.
Uy warns that the Philippines is being dragged into the global competition between China and the U.S. If the foreign policy doesn't shift, she says the country could end up caught in a war between the two giants.
Si Inday kasi, ang tingin kasi ng mga tao really, and even I really hope, in any case, she becomes president. If in any case, in 2028, we don't know kasi ang daming nangyayari, ang domestic politics and external forces nakikialam. Pero if really it's her destiny to be the president of the country in a matter of time, then it's really her responsibility, as if in any case mangyari yon, to put the country in a proper trajectory, na ibalik mo sa independent foreign policy, gitna mo yung country mo, equidistant sa lahat, neutral ka, you try to have good relation with all major powers. Importante yun sa isang bansa, then may pag-asa ang bayan natin.
Malindug-Uy further argues that it is not Russia but China that the United States sees as its main rival in areas like defense, artificial intelligence or AI, economy, digitalization, and technology. To curb China's rise, the U.S. is allegedly employing the same strategy it used against Russia, using other nations as pawns, such as Ukraine.
Sa Asia Pacific kasi, to be very honest, dalawa lang ang pwedeng gamiting pawn ng United States. Ang Taiwan, island of Taiwan, and the Philippines. In Taiwan, I don't really worry too much, though it's a very volatile area. Kasi tension-driven yan. But you have to remember, the Taiwanese are Chinese. Pero mas nag-worry ako sa side ng Pilipinas. Bakit? Because ang ating foreign policy, kung hindi magbabago yan, mauuwi talaga tayo sa gitgitan at magiging pawn talaga tayo ng United States.
Malindug Uy calls on the public to closely monitor the geopolitics involving China, the United States, and the Philippines. She says the nation's future depends on it. A future that, she warns, could lead to a war that it is not ours, but one that could cost the lives of millions of Filipinos.
Kasi kung magkakaroon ng gitgitan, MJ, at magkakaroon ng conflict dyan sa South China Sea, isalin nyo na yung Taiwan. Pag may ginawa ang Amerikano dyan, ako, delikado tayo. Madadamay tayo madadrag tayo kasi forward-based nga tayo
For Ganababal of Philippines, MJ Mondihar, SMNI News.
Top Philippine defense officials push back against China's claims that Manila is stirring tensions in the West Philippine Sea. As President Marcos Jr. heads to India for a state visit next week, joint naval drills between the Philippine and Indian navies are also set to unfold in the disputed waters. Jason Rubrico for the report.
A spokesperson for China's Ministry of National Defense claimed that the Philippines is a trouble and danger maker in the South China Sea, supposedly due to provocations in cooperation with extraterritorial forces. The statement was made in response to Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro Jr., who earlier emphasized that the Philippines is focused on external defense and will not yield to Chinese aggression. National Security Advisor, or NSA, Eduardo Anyo and Armed Forces of the Philippines, or AFP Chief General Romeo Browner Jr. rejected China's claims. Anyo maintained only China has labeled the Philippines a troublemaker. He emphasized that the country remains committed to diplomacy and peaceful assertion of its sovereign rights and territorial claims.
Well, the allegation that we are troublemaker, I think no other country has ever said that or confirmed that, only except PRC. Because as you can see, we are really putting a lot of restraint and we do not want to escalate the tension. We are just asserting our sovereign rights and protecting our territory.
General Browner also stressed that the Philippines is not the source of conflict in the West Philippine Sea. Instead, he said the AFP is merely strengthening its capabilities through modernization and alliances with like-minded nations.
Well, hindi tayo yung source ng gulo sa West Philippine Sea. In fact, ang ginagawa lamang natin ay pinapalakas natin yung Armed Forces of the Philippines nang sa gayon ay magkaroon tayo ng credible deterrence. No? Dahil ayaw natin magkaroon ng gera. So, kailangan natin ng malakas na deterrence.
Browner added that every nation has the right to strengthen its own armed forces to prevent potential threats or invasions, and China should not interfere.
Alam mo, tayo nga hindi tayo nakikialam sa gusto nilang gawin sa armed forces nila. Huwag rin silang makialam sa atin dahil karapatan ng bawat bansa na palakasin ang kanyang armed forces. At yan po ang ginagawa natin ngayon. We are making our armed forces strong so that we will be able to establish a credible deterrence para mag-iisip yung mga bansa na gustong sumakop o kaya umatake sa atin. No? They will think twice.
According to Browner, many countries have expressed interest in partnering with the Philippines in defense and military cooperation, including the United States, Australia, Japan, France, Canada, New Zealand, and India. Currently docked at the Manila port are 3 Indian Navy warships, including a guided missile destroyer, an anti-submarine warfare corvette, and a fleet tanker. In the coming days, the Indian Navy and the Philippine Navy are set to conduct joint naval drills in the West Philippine Sea as part of their deepening defense cooperation.
I think that's very significant because, till now our ships have been making port calls on the Philippines for last several decades. But it is the first time that we will be having this exercise. And the second very important factor is that this is coinciding with the state visit of the President of Philippines to India.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will visit India from the 4th to the 8th of August this year for a 5-day state visit. The visit coincides with the 75th anniversary of diplomatic relations between the Philippines and India.
Well, we are expecting to have very productive and meaningful discussions during the visit. Certainly, defense-related issues will be also part of the conversation.
Definitely, magkakaroon ng yung strategic dialogue. Therefore, there will be a strategic agreement. So, napaka-importante na at the level ng mga state leaders natin ay magkaroon ng strategic dialogue so that lalong mapalakas pa yung partnership natin.
For God and my beloved Philippines, I am Jason Rubrico, SM9 News.
Businessman Atong Ang and several others are now facing murder and serious illegal detention complaints in connection with the missing sabongeros or cockfighting enthusiasts. Margot Gonzalez files this report.
Relatives of the missing sabongeros, a term referring to Filipinos involved in cockfighting who disappeared, they told the Department of Justice on Friday, August 1, to formally file complaints against businessman Atong Ang, believed to be the mastermind behind the case based on the testimony of a witness known as alias Totoy. They say they have long suspected Ang's involvement.
Matagal nang hinala si Mr. Atong Ang, kasama sila Eric De La Rosa, RJ Mejia, at saka yung mga pulis, si Attorney Caroline Cruz. Ito yung mga kasama po dun sa aming mga complaints.
Murder po tsaka serious illegal detention po.
Against kanino po?
Sila Atong Ang po tsaka sa mga kasama.
So ano pong sa loobin nyo tungkol dyan na mag-file na po?
Siyempre masaya-masaya po dahil 4 years po namin nantay.
Also among those who filed complaints was Merlin Gomez, another of Roel Gomez, one of the sabongeros who disappeared after being seen at the Manila Arena. In tears, she questioned the motive behind her son's fate.
Kasi yung anak ko na yun, din naman po sa labay, bakit gano'n lang po ang ginawa sa kanya? Kung yung sabi nila na ninyope, yun na po ba ang bayad, yung paslangin sila.
Merlin also expressed frustration after her daughter-in-law, who initially filed a case, later withdrew without informing the family.
Nahiya siya sa ginawa niya, hindi na siya nagpakita sa akin. Sa ngayon, hindi pa kita mapapatawad dahil nagdesisyon ka na hindi mo pinaalam sa pamilya.
Alias Totoy or Julie Patidongan also appeared at the DOJ. His sworn affidavit was submitted along with the complaints. He also claimed that 2 of his brothers may have information related to the case. The National Prosecution Service declined to give any details on the complaints filed by the victims' families. They said the case will undergo further review to determine if there is enough basis for a preliminary investigation.
We cannot disclose any details as to who the case is being filed against. What we know is that this is just a filing for purposes of evaluation, and this is a connection with the missing Sabongeros case. Like we said, we cannot give any information yet kasi evaluation pa lang ito. I mean, to be fair about it, when you go through evaluation, it is as if no case yet has been filed for preliminary investigation.
Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla confirmed that Atong Ang is the key figure in the missing Sabongeros case.
Siya ang may-ari siya ang main player sa Isabong eh. Siya ang main player dyan, siya ang amo ni Totoy or Dondon. Pera niya pinababayad para sa trabaho na ginagawa ng mga kontraktor na pulis. Kaya ang mahalaga talaga dito ay malitis to.
Meanwhile, ang scam pointed the finger at the Patidongan brothers, claiming they were the real masterminds behind the case, a claim that Remulla dismissed.
Natural for them to concoct their stories. Yung talaga, gawain talaga ng ano yan eh, ng mga abogado. Di ba? Sabi ko nga, ang kalaban namin dito, the best lawyers money can buy. Pera-pera lang yan eh, sa kanila.
Remulla also rejected the Philippine National Police statement that no DNA was recovered from the bones found in Taal Lake.
Porque ba sa unang buto, wala eh, ilang daang buto na ba nakukuha? Hindi pa eh, it's premature to say anything of that nature. They will not talk again.
For God and the beloved Philippines, this has been Margot Gonzalez, SM9 News.
The United States is ramping up economic pressure on Iran. The Treasury Department has just rolled out what it calls the largest sanctions package against Iran since 2018, targeting dozens of individuals, companies, and vessels linked to illegal oil shipping. MJ Modihar for the details.
The U.S. government is cracking down on a large network that ships oil from Iran and Russia to buyers around the world, despite international bans. The U.S. Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Control has sanctioned more than 50 individuals and entities, along with over 50 vessels allegedly tied to a massive Iran oil shipping network. The goal is to cut off Iran's income from oil, which America says is used to fund dangerous activities. Officials say this is the largest Iran sanctions package since 2018. The U.S. Department of State also imposed sanctions designating 20 entities and identifying 10 vessels as block property involved in the transport of Iranian petroleum and petrochemical products. Washington says the latest round of sanctions is a direct response to Iran's continued evasion of oil export restrictions and a warning to those enabling it. For Government of Philippines, MJ Mondeja, SMNI News.
Up next, extreme weather disrupts parts of South America. A massive sandstorm has swept through southern Peru, with the winds carrying the dust all the way to Chile's coastline. Local officials have issued warnings for strong winds and poor visibility in the region. In India, a date is set for a high-stakes election. The official schedule for choosing the country's next vice president has been set, following the unexpected resignation of Jagdeep Dhankhar, a transition that could reshape New Delhi's future. More news when Newsline World returns.
Children will grow up and bring the joy, the love, the peace, and compassion to the whole world. We only have one planet. We only have one Earth. And I hope that this new generation of children that we have reached out will become millions and billions and bring peace on Earth. Bring peace to humanity.
Matunog ngayon ang salitang impeachment sa Pilipinas dahil sa nakambang impeachment trial kay Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero ang tanong ng taong bayan, ito ba ay para sa interes ng bansa o para sa politikal na motibo lamang? Sa ilalim ng saligang batas, may mga opisyal ng pamahalaan na maaring tanggalin sa pwesto sa pamamagitan ng impeachment. Kabilang dito ang Pangulo, Pangalawang Pangulo, mga mahistrado ng Korte Suprema, mga miyembro ng Constitutional Commission at ang Ombudsman. Maaaring ma-impeach ang mga nabanggit na opisyal dahil sa matinding paglabag sa konstitusyon, pagtataksil sa bayan, panunuhol, katiwalian, mabibigat na krimen o pagtataksil sa tiwala ng publiko. Sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas, ilang matataas na opisyal na ang humarap sa impeachment trial. Noong taong 2000, si Pangulong Joseph Erap Estrada ang unang pangulo ng bansa na humarap sa isang impeachment trial. Taong 2011 naman, si Ombudsman Mercedes Gutierrez ay naharap din sa impeachment dahil sa umano'y kapabayaan sa pag-aksyon sa mga kaso ng katiwalian. Hindi na siya humarap sa pagdinig sapagkat bago pa magsimula ang impeachment trial ay nagbitiw na ito sa pwesto. Noong 2012, si Chief Justice Renato Corona ay napatalsik naman mula sa Korte Suprema sa unang pagkakataon na impeach ang isang Chief Justice matapos mapatunayang hindi niya idineklara ang kanyang Statement of Assets, Liabilities, and Net Worth o SALN ng buo. Ano nga ba ang proseso ng pag-impeach sa isang mataas na opisyal batay sa konstitusyon? Maaaring magsampa ng reklamo ang isang miyembro ng Kongreso o isang mamamayan basta may sumusuportang kongresista. Kapag 1/3 ng mga miyembro ng Kamara ang sumang-ayon, tuloy na agad ang proseso ng impeachment sa Senado. Sa sandaling maaprubahan ito ng House of Representatives, binubuo na ang Articles of Impeachment, isang dokumento na naglalaman ng mga aligasyon o batayan para sa impeachment. Pero tandaan, walang impeachment proceedings na maaaring isampa laban sa parehong opisyal ng higit sa isang beses sa loob ng isang taon. Ang Senado naman ang magsisilbing impeachment court kapag ang Pangulo ang nililitis, ang punong mahistrado ang namumuno, ngunit hindi bumoboto. 2/3 ng mga senador ang kailangan para hatulan ang opisyal. Anong parusa? Pagkakatanggal sa pwesto at diskwalipikasyon na makabalik sa gobyerno. Ang impeachment ay hindi simpleng usapin sa politika. Isa itong seryosong proseso na maaaring makaapekto sa kinabukasan ng bansa. Kaya sa panahong puno ng ingay at intriga, kinakailangan nating maging mapanuri, patas at maging makabayan. Bantayan natin ang katotohanan, pumanig tayo sa hustisya at higit sa lahat, unahin natin ang interes ng sambayanang Pilipino.
Back in the news, a powerful dust storm is sweeping across southern Peru, bringing daily life to a halt in several regions. Authorities have issued warnings as strong winds continue to whip up thick clouds of sand. Cristal Guanco reports.
In southern Peru, a massive sand and dust storm driven by strong winds has blanketed multiple regions including Ica, Arequipa, Moquegua, and Tacna. According to Peru's National Weather Agency, the storm was triggered by a high-pressure system and a strengthening anti-cyclone moving in from the south. Winds reaching up to 40 kilometers per hour have kicked up thick dust clouds, especially in Ica, where roads and buildings have been completely engulfed. National media footage shows reduced visibility and major disruptions, with several road closures already in effect. The storm has even extended into port areas near the border with Chile. Peru's Meteorological Service warns that strong coastal winds may persist for Sunday. Authorities are urging residents to limit outdoor activity and take necessary precautions against airborne dust and debris. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, Cristal Guanco, SM9 News.
India is gearing up for a key leadership transition. Following the sudden resignation of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar, the Election Commission has laid out the timeline for choosing his successor. Virgil Parba for the details.
In India, the race to elect the country's next vice president is officially underway. The Election Commission has announced the schedule following the surprise resignation of Vice President Jagdeep Dhankhar on July 21, who stepped down citing health concerns. The formal notification for the 17th vice presidential election will be issued on August 7. Nominations will close on August 21, with scrutiny set for the following day. Candidates will have until August 25 to withdraw, and if needed, polling will be held on September 9 from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Vote counting will follow immediately after. The new vice president will serve a full 5-year term starting from the day they take office. The election will be held via secret ballot using a proportional representation system with a single transferable vote. The Secretary General of Rajya Sabha will act as a returning officer. Voting will take place at Room F101 Vasuda inside Parliament House in New Delhi. And as required by the Constitution, open voting is strictly prohibited, with all electors mandated to maintain complete secrecy. This is Verhil Parba, your citizen correspondent for God and my beloved country, the Philippines.
In Thailand, bomb disposal teams are racing against time to remove unexploded munitions just days after a deadly border clash between Thai and Cambodian forces. A ceasefire is now in place, but the danger on the ground remains very real for thousands of displaced civilians. Jane Cognita has the story.
Following deadly border clashes between Thai and Cambodian troops, danger still lingers in Thailand's Surin province. Though a ceasefire is in place, the threat still remains. Bomb disposal teams are now racing to clear unexploded rockets and munitions scattered near homes, farmland, and forest areas. Last week's fighting killed over 30 people and forced more than 100,000 to evacuate, stemming from a dispute over contested border areas. After emergency talks in Malaysia, hosted by Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, leaders from Thailand and Cambodia agreed to an immediate and unconditional ceasefire. But on the ground, the threat remains. For many families, the danger has not ended. In one village, a rocket strike destroyed the home of Abisit Bundang, killing his 8-year-old son and leaving him critically injured. Officials say that at least 129 unexploded munitions remain scattered across the district in fields, forests, and waterways. Many are still undetected, posing a lethal threat to anyone nearby. Thousands remain in evacuation shelters, and while some choose to return home, authorities urge caution as hidden explosives could still claim lives. This has been Jane Cognita, your citizen correspondent for God and my beloved country, the Philippines.
Panic and chaos erupted at a theme park in Taif, Saudi Arabia after a high-thrill ride malfunctioned mid-operation, sending dozens of passengers crashing to the ground. The shocking moment was caught on camera. Viewer discretion is advised. Sherilyn Lanillo has the story.
It was supposed to be a fun night out, but within seconds, a ride at Green Mountain Park turned into a nightmare. The massive pendulum-style attraction, called 360 Degrees, was spinning with riders suspended on both ends when disaster struck. The central structure suddenly fractured, tearing the ride in half while still in motion. Screams filled the air as the rotating arms slammed into the ground. Metal flew, none were ejected from their seats. Local officials confirmed at least 23 people were injured and 3 critically hurt. First responders rushed in within minutes. Emergency medics treated the injured on site before transporting them to nearby hospitals. Authorities declared a code yellow emergency, and the entire park has since been shut down. First responders rushed in within minutes. Emergency medics treated the injured on site before transporting them to nearby hospitals. Authorities declared a code yellow emergency, and the entire park has since been shut down. An investigation is now underway to determine what went wrong. Engineers are inspecting what's left of the ride, checking maintenance records, and reviewing safety inspections. This isn't the first time a thrill ride has failed, but the terrifying footage is now sparking new concerns about amusement park safety across the region and beyond. As of now, Green Mountain Park remains closed until further notice. The city's governor has ordered a full safety. As of now, Green Mountain Park remains closed until further notice. The city's governor has ordered a full safety audit across all attractions in the area. Charlie Nanilio, your citizen correspondent reporting for God and my beloved Philippines.
NASA and SpaceX have successfully launched the Crew 11 mission to the International Space Station. The mission lifted off from Kennedy Space Center in Florida on Friday, August 1, after a one-day delay due to bad weather. On board the Dragon spacecraft are NASA astronauts Zina Codman and Mike Fink, Japanese astronaut Kimiya Yui, and Russian cosmonaut Oleg Platonov. They're heading to the orbiting lab for a long-duration science mission. This is the 11th crew rotation and the 12th human spaceflight to the station under NASA's Commercial Crew Program. Meanwhile, the debate over Palestinian statehood is heating up, and the United States is drawing a sharp line, with France, the UK, and Canada pushing forward plans to recognize a Palestinian state. The Biden administration, or the Trump administration, is warning the move could actually undermine peace and empower Hamas. This report. Tensions continue to rise over international efforts to recognize a Palestinian state, with the United States warning the move could backfire. U.S. Deputy State Department spokesperson Thomas Pigott said Thursday that such recognition could, in his words, be helping Hamas, especially at a time when ceasefire negotiations remain stalled.
It could be seen as a reward for Hamas in many ways. We actually saw on the day that Hamas rejected, as the Secretary described today, rejected the ceasefire deal was the same day that France announced their recognition. So we are seeing, as the President described, that this could be seen as a reward for Hamas. And in many ways, as the Secretary also said, this could hurt the process of peace.
Pigott pointed the finger at Hamas as the key roadblock to peace, accusing the group of rejecting ceasefire efforts and prolonging the conflict.
The Hamas has been the one blocking reaching a ceasefire. And now we have these timelines set that could actually lead to a reward for Hamas if they continue in this behavior.
His remarks come after France, Canada, and the United Kingdom signaled plans to formally recognize the state of Palestine, potentially during the United Nations General Assembly in September if Israel doesn't agree to a ceasefire. Turning to Gaza, Pigott said the Trump administration remains focused on ramping up humanitarian aid while ensuring it doesn't fall into the hands of Hamas.
But it is a clear indication that this administration is determined to getting as much aid as possible into Gaza without it being looted by Hamas.
He also announced that U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff will visit an aid distribution center in Gaza on Friday. Meanwhile, Washington confirmed it will impose sanctions on the Palestine Liberation Organization and the Palestinian Authority, including visa bans, over what officials call non-compliance on multiple issues.
These actions reflect our national security interests and our commitment to holding the PLO and PA accountable for undermining the prospects for peace.
Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar welcomed the move and criticized countries backing Palestinian statehood, accusing them of turning a blind eye to terror and incitement. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, Sarah Santos, SMNI News. We return. In Ukraine, a key area taken. Russia claims it has seized a strategic town in Donetsk, a move that could shift momentum on the Eastern Front. Ukrainian forces say they're holding position as heavy clashes intensify. And in entertainment, a personal health reveal from pop star Justin Timberlake. The singer has announced he's been diagnosed with Lyme disease, sparking a wave of support from fans and advocacy groups, raising awareness about the tick-borne illness. More news when Newsline World returns.
Hala, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Uy, magnanakaw!
Magnanakaw! Magnanakaw!
Ano kayang gagawin ko? Ipamimigay ko yung konti para tumigil sila sa pag-iingay.
Pare, magnanakaw, namimigay ng pera.
Ito ang sayo.
Wow! Ang bait ng magnanakaw!
Ito naman sayo.
Kuya, yung share
eto
ko!
Huwag ka nang maingay. Eto pa. Tama na yan. Nakikipalato lang kayo eh. Huwag nang maingay. Diba? Konti lang pinamigay ko. Mabait na ako. Tahimik na sila. Easy. Ngayon, pwede ko na tong suluhin.
Masaya ang mga tao, pero tama po ba ito? Di po ba ang nakikinabang sa magnanakaw ay kasabwat ng magnanakaw?
Ikaw, kinukonsenti mo ba ang legal na korupsyon?
Back in the news, in eastern Ukraine, Russian forces say they've captured a key town in Donetsk, a move that could shift the battlefront in their favor. Heavy fighting continues across the region as Ukraine pushes back. Prince Tripoli reports.
Russia's military claims it has taken full control over Kazov Yar, a key town in the Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry says the town was captured by troops from its southern battle group after launching a major offensive. Kazov Yar had long been a major defensive position for Ukrainian forces, and military experts warn its loss may expose nearby cities like Kramatorsk and Slovyansk to fresh attacks. Military analysts say Russia may now gain a tactical advantage in the region. Meanwhile, clashes are also intensifying near Ukraine's Pokrovsk. Both Russia and Ukraine released updates showing ongoing combat, drone attacks, and artillery fire in the area. Ukraine's military confirms over 190 clashes along the front in the past day, with Pokrovsk under heavy pressure. But Ukrainian officials say the city has not been surrounded and their troops continue to hold the line. As the battle for eastern Ukraine heats up, both sides are bracing for more intense fighting in the coming days, with no signs of stopping anytime soon. Reporting, this has been Prince Tripoli, your citizen correspondent, SMN News.
The Department of Foreign Affairs has laid out the key engagements for President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s upcoming state visit to India, which include bilateral engagements and business forums. Here's Creseling Catarong for the details.
From August 4 to 8, 2025, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. will visit India as part of efforts to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. According to DFA Assistant Secretary Evangeline Jimenez Ducroc, the president is set to arrive in New Delhi on the afternoon of August 4 and will immediately meet with the Filipino community there. An estimated 200 Filipinos are expected to attend the meeting out of the more than 1,300 registered Filipinos in India, most of whom are professionals or are married to Indian nationals. The official state visit begins the following day, with President Marcos scheduled for bilateral meetings with top Indian government officials. In New Delhi, Marcos will meet the Indian President Draupadi Murmu and Prime Minister Narendra Modi for bilateral talks.
In his bilateral meeting with PM Modi, the two leaders will discuss closer cooperation in economic, defense and security, political cooperation, trade, investment and economic cooperation, and how to further invigorate people-to-people exchanges.
The two leaders will also address issues of mutual importance to both the Philippines and India. In addition, President Marcos is expected to meet with the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
And he will meet with the president of the Bharatiya Janata Party, BJP, and Chair and Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Jagat Prakash Nada. The BJP leads the National Democratic Alliance and is the ruling and largest political party in India.
Marcos will also attend two business events, one in New Delhi and another in Bangalore, which is often referred to as the Silicon Valley of India. He is also scheduled to meet with the Indian media and deliver a foreign policy address at the well-known think tank, the Observer Research Foundation.
In Bangalore, he will again participate in business events. His visit will wrap up with a kapihan with the media before he leaves for Manila.
Ducroc revealed that at least 6 agreements, possibly more, are expected to be signed during the state visit. This will cover areas such as law, culture, science and technology, and other fields of cooperation.
We have, I think, upwards of 6 agreements to be concluded. Though the working day is not yet over, so we expect, I think, more to come online.
The DFA official emphasized that the visit mainly aims to deepen cooperation between the two countries in security, economy, science and technology, and people-to-people exchanges. Maritime security cooperation between the two nations is also ongoing. Joining the President's delegation to India are officials from the Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of Trade and Industry, and Department of National Defense, as well as the Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs and other cabinet members. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, This is Christine Catarong, SMNI News.
Economists has warned that the price of basic goods, especially imported products, may continue to rise. Let's find out why in Sheena Torno's report.
The Philippine peso fell further against US dollar. The Bankers Association of the Philippines reported that the exchange rate closed at 58 pesos and 32 centavos to the dollar on Thursday, July 31, marking the lowest level for the peso in 6 months. That means Filipinos now need more pesos to buy just $1 US. Economist Astro Del Castillo pointed to several reasons for the peso's continued depreciation against the greenback.
Yung recent decision ng kanilang Federal Reserve to maintain US interest rates. So, karamihan kasi ng mga bansa nagbababa na ng interest rates eh. So, ang lohiko niyan, kung saan mas mataas ang interest rates, doon mo ilalagay yung pera mo, di ba? So, since mataas ang interest rate ng Amerika, mas may demand for US dollar. So, nagsistrengthen siya. Not necessarily na mahina ang ating ekonomiya.
In addition, he said the demand for US dollars may also be rising due to businesses purchasing foreign currency for imports and debt payments. When demand for the dollar is high but the supply is limited, the value of the dollar increases against the peso. As a result, the prices of essential imported goods such as rice, flour, milk and dairy products, sugar and others are affected. Petroleum products like diesel, gasoline, kerosene and LPG are also likely to be affected.
Talagang babantayan mo inflationary impact of such strengthening of the US dollar against currencies including the peso. August ngayon, ang after effect niyan makikita natin the next few weeks. So August could be a challenging month for inflation, no? Meaning baka may pressure to increase prices.
The possible effects of this should be anticipated by the Marcos Jr. administration, and Filipinos are also urged to be wise in managing their spending.
Ang gobyerno naman, importante na suportahan yung maapektuhan ng mga sektor sa pagtaas ng mga bilihin. Sana mas mag-focus na sila na palakasin mga industriya na mas maging self-sufficient tayo na mag-produce kaysa mag-import. Pag nagawa natin yon, mas less pressure ang paghina ng piso sa US dollar. Sana mapalakas rin natin na may sarili na tayong source of oil and gas, power and energy. Mas maganda yon.
For God and for my beloved Philippines, this has been Sheena Torno, SMNI News.
For our showbiz news, Marvel brings out a fresh poster for the upcoming new Black Panther superhero. Meanwhile, Justin Timberlake shared a heartbreaking announcement revealing that he has been diagnosed with a disease. Sigrid Castañeda tells us more on this.
Marvel fans, get ready! There's a new Panther in town. Marvel Studios has just dropped a striking new poster for Eyes of Wakanda, the upcoming animated series expanding the Black Panther universe, and is already setting the internet abuzz. The poster showcases a mysterious figure donning the legendary Black Panther suit, slick, sharp, and radiating with symbolism. But who's behind the mask? Marvel's keeping that a secret for now. While past Panthers like T'Challa and Shuri won't be at the center of the story, Eyes of Wakanda promises a fresh face, a brand new warrior unlike any we've seen before. The animated anthology series officially premieres August 1 on Disney Plus and dives deep into the hidden history of Wakanda's elite fighters, those tasked with retrieving vibranium artifacts across time and continents. In the latest chapter in the Black Panther legacy, following the success of Wakanda Forever, which hit theaters in 2022 as the 30th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. With stunning visuals, deep lore, and mysterious new hero, Eyes of Wakanda is shaping up to be a must-watch for MCU fans. American singer and actor Justin Timberlake has announced he's been diagnosed with Lyme disease, a serious tick-borne illness. The 43-year-old pop icon shared the news on Instagram Thursday, shortly after performing in Turkey, the final stop of his Forget Tomorrow World Tour. In his post, Timberlake thanked fans for their support, saying he pushed through the demanding tour schedule despite dealing with what he called relentlessly debilitating symptoms. Lyme disease is caused by Borrelia bacteria, typically transmitted through the bite of infected ticks. It can lead to fatigue, joint pain, and nervous issues if left untreated. The condition is most common in parts of North America and Europe. Fans flooded Timberlake's page with support and admiration, praising his dedication to the stage despite his health struggles. Widely known as the Prince of Pop, Timberlake first rose to fame in the late 90s as part of the boy band NSYNC. He launched his solo career with a Grammy-winning album Justified in 2002. And that's our showbiz update. This is Sigrid Castañeda, your citizen correspondent, bringing you latest showbiz.
And for our sports news, the New York Knicks continue to strengthen their core lineup as forward Mikal Bridges agrees to a long-term deal with the team. England's opening day in Test Series had early promise, but rain delays and missed chances left the match wide open heading into day 2. And Somalia has launched its first ever amputee league, giving new meaning to the beautiful game and a powerful platform to a group of determined athletes. Carlo De La Peña for our sports news.
It's official. Mikal Bridges is all in with the Knicks. The star forward has signed a 4-year, $150 million contract extension with New York, locking him in through the 2029 season. The move comes shortly after the Knicks landed Bridges in a high-profile trade with Brooklyn. According to reports, the extension kicks in for the 2026 to 2027 season once his current deal wraps up. Bridges has built a reputation as one of the league's top two-way players, elite on defense, efficient on offense, and now he's expected to take on a leadership role next to Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. And with this deal, the message from the Knicks is loud and clear. This team isn't just chasing playoff spots, they're going all in for a title. England made a commanding start to their opening day in the Test Series. Their bowler sharp, the field placements tight, and pressure mounting on the opposition. But as the match wore on, that momentum began to fade. Rain delays disrupted rhythm, the pitch started to flatten out, and their early dominance gave way to growing uncertainty. Missed catches, a middle session batting slump, and strong partnership from the opposing side shifted the balance of power. Fast bowler Josh Tong made an early impact, especially as the 40th over began under cloudy skies and a helpful green pitch. He zeroed in on a well-set Ravindra Jadeja, but breakthroughs became harder to come by as the innings progressed. It was a mixed bag for England, a dominant beginning, but an unsettled finish. With the test still wide open, all eyes now turn to day 2. History was made in Mogadishu on Sunday as Somalia launched its first ever amputee football league. The inaugural matches, organized by the Somalia Amputee Football Federation, brought together players with limb-related disabilities for a powerful display of skill, unity, and determination. Footage from the match day shows teams prepping in the dressing rooms, walking onto the pitch, exchanging handshakes, and then the action. Fast-paced play and even penalty shootouts. The federation was first formed in late 2021 and since then has secured support from national and regional bodies, including Confederation of African Football, West Asian Football Federation, and the Somali Ministry of Sports. Organizers say it's about more than just a game. It's about inclusion, resilience, and giving these athletes a platform to shine. This is Carlo De La Peña, bringing you the latest sports news.
And before we end, may you be inspired with the words of the Sun. Humility and sincerity are what counts in the character of a man. And that's all for this edition of Newsline World. For God and my beloved country, the Philippines, I'm Sarah Santos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
This is SMNI News Channel. Truth that matters.